From Studio 1A in Tampa, Florida, comes a talk show that really feels your pain and tells you like it is. We love America and all that freedom-loving Americans want to protect. Live from coast to coast and on your radio, it's For the People with Keith Allen.
We'll help you survive this thing called life with For the People. Whatever your source of stress or strife, For the People is there.
Well, hello, Mr. and Mrs. America. I am Keith Allen, and proudly welcoming you to this August the 1st, 2017's edition of For the People. We have an exciting show lined up for you, and we'd like to always say that it is exciting. We try to make it interesting, thought-provoking, and always laced with at least some common sense. Or if you like intelligent conversation, then I would just have to merely say that it would be completely common sense. It is mixed with some opinion and analysis, and I think a good talk show has to be filled with some of that. Now, obviously, Chuck Harder, the founder of the broadcast, he spoke his mind for, over 40 years of his life, got to do talk radio, which was really fun. And, if you want straight news, you can get it off the wire. And there you go, the who, what, why, where, and when. But we don't make up the news, and there's not fake news, which is something that CNN just loves to do. And that's not just CNN, CBS, NBC, ABC. It's fake news. It's not reliable. It's skewed, and it's to the left. But if you're looking for that left-leaning, non-factual, type of broadcast, well, you can tune to those stations and knock yourself out. But it is a form of propaganda, big time. Talking about propaganda, we've been talking about North Korea, and I've been getting some emails from some of our listeners saying, this is some scary stuff, Keith. Do you believe that we might be headed to war? Do you think that's going to happen? Some people, friends, have called this saber rattling. This is just something that the North does very, very well. And Sebastian Gorka, Dr. Gorka, has been on this broadcast before. He's a lot busier now in the White House, so we don't have complete access to Dr. Gorka when we want. But this is how he kind of views what's going on and how maybe we should be thinking about America. What do you think? Here he is talking about
America is a Goliath. We're a giant. 12 nuclear aircraft carriers. We've just commissioned the latest one, the USS Gerald Ford. North Korea, they can't even feed their own people. This is a Lilliputian little flea. The fact is, they know that we are not just a superpower, we are a hyperpower. This is nothing more than blackmail, but we will not allow ourselves or Western civilization to be blackmailed.
All right. I like what Dr. Gorka says. We are a Goliath, but it only just takes one of these to do some damage. Just one to strike the United States of America. What are the experts saying? I think it's important to see what they're saying. I don't completely buy that it is just solely saber rattling. I think just like Russia's trying and China is trying to posture because of this lead from behind mentality with the, Obama administration, starting with the Clintons, not really just taking hold of the peninsula over there in Korea. This has allowed these particular things to grow, folks. And Mike Huckabee was on this morning a little bit and tends to kind of agree.
Problem is you've got globalists like Jeff Flake who are in total disarray with real conservatives. Look, conservatives want America to be strong. They're not interested in being globalist and just melting into this great big international economy. They want Americans to have good paychecks. They want to make sure that if there is free trade, which we do believe in, that it is fair trade and we're not getting sucker punched by China and by people in Europe and all over the world. They want America to be strong and unapologetic. And as far as some other issues that are truly Republican, we're a pro-life party. You got some Republicans that won't even vote to defund the biggest abortion provider in the U.S., Planned Parenthood. So it's not a problem of the president. It's a problem of some of these Republicans who don't even know what it means, and they don't understand. Why did people elect Donald Trump? because he's enacting pro-life policies, pro-business policies. You guys have been talking about the stock market. We're approaching 22,000. Well, that sure didn't happen when Republicans were running things just in Congress and Obama was president. Give this president some credit for some extraordinary successes.
Okay, that was to be later on in the program. This was actually Dr. Gorka referring to the Clinton and Obama administration for where we're at right now.
The Clinton administration facilitated the strengthening of North Korea when it comes to these issues, and the Obama administration, with its so-called leading from behind and strategic patience, simply allowed that vacuum to be filled and was basically taken for a ride. So that's true, but that's history, and that's all changed. You look at what we've done in just the scant 6 months that the president has been in office, whether it's revitalizing NATO, whether it's the liberation of Mosul with our Iraqi partners, or whether it's simply the domestic national security successes with regards to illegal migration. This is a results-oriented presidency.
Amen.
And we're going to do the same with North Korea. And please understand, there's a whole palette of options.
Yeah.
It's not a question of peace or war. There's lots of things that we can do, some of them less than overt, but the fact is this president will not allow American lives or our partners' interests to be endangered.
You know, and I get that feeling having Donald Trump in the White House. I've said this before. If you're a longtime listener and you listen to, and believe me, folks, if you've missed an hour For the People, you've really missed a lot. That's why you have to listen to the entire 2 hours. And if you don't get the 2 hours, you can go to forthepeopleshow.com. We run hours 1 and 2, found right on our website. And we tweet them out, the show segments, and we have them on Facebook. We have them on YouTube. It's on Roku, on satellite, so hours 1 and 2. Anyway, North Korea, you know, it was 2 of these ICBM missiles. That's what's pretty much got a little people shaken up, and mainly who's really rattled about this on the Korean Peninsula is Japan. China doesn't seem to be all worried. They're just worried about immigrants. If there's something that escalates over there, that's all they worry about. But you know, possibly could start a war over there. China doesn't seem to be worried about it, at least right now. But right now, the missile capability of hitting the U.S. looks likely, but now experts are asking whether it'll do any actual damage. And it's open to debate, according to some analysts. U.S. and South Korean experts said today that Japanese video footage captured the Haesong 14 reentry vehicle. This is the second ICBM missile. And when it re-entered the atmosphere, it crashed into the sea. And basically what that suggests, according to they, it failed to survive the extreme heat and pressure after re-entering the Earth's atmosphere following its launch from northern North Korea last week. So the apparent failure, folks, likely means the rogue regime will conduct more flight tests of these ICBM, they call it the Haesong 14 missile, to ensure that the warhead could survive the reentry from space and hit its intended target. Like I've told you, folks, these things go up, and it's programmed to where on the Earth spins, as you know, and it will come back down to its intended target. Now, luckily, it splashes down right where they intended it, but they get the general idea. The more you practice something, the better you get, and they're getting better and better. And yes, maybe it didn't hold together as much as it should or it ought to. It may not have been as impressive as some of our technology, but folks, they're going to get there. The question is, do we want them to get there? And the answer to our allies is an emphatic no. So even after, this analysis going on and this Monday morning quarterback going on here about the news, you can't take lightly this rogue regime's quest and lust for power and destruction to the death of America. and anybody else that opposes its regime and its practices from having these missiles. And they're looking to Iran, and Iran is the one that's supplying them with a lot of the money and a lot of the materials and technology, and they share information between the two. I still think this is a big threat, and we should not take this lightly. So for them to trivialize, to look at this and say, oh, it's not a big deal, nothing to worry about or anything like this, our reasonable conclusion based on the video evidence, well, yeah, fine. But the next one could, and they just build it stronger. And a recent economic report out of North Korea shows despite all the sanctions, or the so-called sanctions, because China is still delivering goods, they're keeping their lights on, which is very odd because they weren't able to do that. Now, pretty much Pyongyang, it lights up like a Christmas tree at night. And the hotel that they've been building since the 80s looks like it might be near to completion. It's supposed to be some kind of hotel, or the 100-plus floors that they've literally been trying to complete its project since the 80s, and it looks like there's some action going on, but who really knows? Unless you're over there and get in there, but the lights are interesting. Something's going on over there, and the something is they are getting more of the ICBM technology from Iran and China. These are the people that we really need to be looking at. This missile expert was telling reporters on a recent conference call by 38 North that fixing the design flaw might take them another 6 months. This is according to the New York Times. But the key is that they'll have to do additional flight tests, and that they will. Look, if you work at something 24 hours a day, and you could have shifts, folks, 7 days a week, they've made some pretty amazing progress considering being where they are and, being shunned by 90% of the world or more. They're able to still conduct these things. That should scare or terrify just about everybody listening to the broadcast. That's pretty scary. Hell-bent. And just because of what their practiced behavior is in their own country to their own people. Folks, evil is evil. Okay? Evil. And maybe, like Dr. Gorka said, maybe they realize this and they're saber-rattling, but they're doing a pretty nice job. Because it only takes one disaster, one accident. And I don't want an accident to happen. They're not going to stop these flight tests. They're going to continue doing these tests, folks. One of the experts said that the video showed the reentry vehicle shedding small radiant objects as they were studying it at an altitude of 2.5 to 3 miles, and it dims and quickly disappears at an altitude of 1.9 to 2.5 miles before it passes behind a mountain range and is obscured from the camera's view. Had the reentry vehicle survived, he says it would have continued to glow until disappearing behind the mountain, he claims. The missile expert told reporters on a recent conference call, again organized by 38 North, they said this once before, that fixing the design flaw might take them 6 months. Unbelievable. He said, while North Korea has declared that Hwang-14's latest launch confirmed important features of the missile, such as its range and its warhead reentry, it also described the rocket as landing in the target waters in the open sea. So it probably wasn't an ideal outcome for North Korean engineers because nuclear warheads are usually designed to detonate at lower altitudes shortly before impact. So, folks, just listening to that last line and reading that over, they're getting close, folks. I just don't see diplomacy working anytime soon. But the more we can we can I guess hold them off, stave it off, tolerate it, and good thing nothing bad happened at this moment.